إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستهديه ونسترشده ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له له الملك وله الحمد يحيي ويميت وهو على كل شيء قدير وأشهد أن محمدًا عبده ورسوله أدى الأمانة وبلغ الرسالة ونصح للأمة وجاهد في الله حق جهاده وتركنا على المحجة البيضاء ليلها كنهارها لا يزيغ عنها إلا هالك. أما بعد فاعلموا عباد الله أن أصدق الحديث كتاب الله وخير الهدي هدي محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم وشر الأمور محدثاتها وكل محدثة بدعة وكل بدعة ضلالة وكل ضلالة في النار. أما بعد. So once Sufyan ibn Uyayna, who is one of the most prominent scholars in Islam, once he was asked, which one is more beloved to you? Is to have the blessings of Allah, be wealthy and healthy, and be thankful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Or would you rather be afflicted with poverty or ill health? So be mubtala and be patient until you meet Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which one is more beloved to you? Now I'm going to ask you the same question. Which one would you choose? Healthy, wealthy, thankful, or poor and patient? Now, because I know how Sufyan understands this question and what he will base his answer on, for you, I'm going to add another question to it. Is that first, which one would you choose? But the other one is that which one do you think is going to be closer to Allah? That wealthy, thankful, or the poor and patient? Because I know how Muslims 2023 think. When it comes to dunya, I want the best. I will work 7 days a week. I will work 15 hours a day just to get the best house and the best car. But when it's about Jannah, just next to the door is fine. I'm just gonna, I'm better than the others. I pray 3 times a day. Others don't pray. Inshallah, just next to the door in Jannah. Even if I go a bit to hell for a few days, it's going to be fine, inshallah. But dunya, no, you want everything and you'll do everything for it. Now, what did Sufyan say? So they say Sufyan atraqa sa'a. So he just paused and started thinking. And then he said, تأملت في كتاب ربي. I looked at the book of Allah. I went through the book of Allah. And I saw Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala describing Sulaiman. Sulaiman, he's probably the most wealthy person ever lived on this earth. He's the king of it, and he's owned everything. And what did Allah say about him? He said, نِعْمَ الْعَبْدِ إِنَّهُ أَوَّابٌ. He's of the best slaves. He's continuously repenting to Allah. So نِعْمَ الْعَبْدِ إِنَّهُ أَوَّابٌ. And then Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala described Ayub, who was afflicted with probably the most severe affliction ever. What did Allah say about him? And he was sabr, he was patient. What did Allah say about him? نِعْمَ الْعَبْدِ إِنَّهُ أَوَّابٌ. Exactly the same description. So he said, then, if it's the same to Allah, it's the same degree, then I would rather be the wealthy and thankful. Now, what does that mean to us? What does wealth mean? Now, first, before people start saying, well, I'm not wealthy, we need to understand what does wealthy mean in the Islamic perspective. The Prophet ﷺ says, whoever woke up in the morning feeling safe, So he's not worried that an Israeli bomb will fall on his head. He's not worried about a militia or someone that will come and kidnap his family. Safe. Healthy. And has the food enough for that day. Just for one day. Then it's like the one who's owned everything in this life. Now this is the Islamic definition of wealthy. So I don't think there's anyone here that doesn't fulfill this description. Now, what does Allah base this on? Now, why is this person has got wealth? Why is this person is poor? What does that mean to Allah? Is it because He loves this one and He hates that one? Why is it the case? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Quran, فَأَمَّا الْإِنسَانُ إِذَا مَا ابْتَلَاهُ رَبُّهُ فَأَكْرَمَهُ وَنَعَّمَهُ. It's that the human, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala afflicts him with what? With wealth. So wealth is an affliction, a trial. Yes, sir. And then Allah continues to say, وَأَمَّا إِذَا مَا ابْتَلَاهُ فَقَدَرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقَهُ. Again, the same word. Ibtalahu with wealth, and then it puts ibtalahu with limited rizq, with poverty. So they're both affliction. Now, which one do you think is easier? Which one is an easier test? Wealth or poverty? Now, the scholars, the ones who know Allah's wisdom and understand and can reflect on the Sharia, they actually tell you that wealth is much severe. It's a very severe affliction. I said, how is that? I always thought, you've got money, alhamdulillah, everything is good. How is that worse than being poor? They said, you know what? Because when you have money, you have options. You feel that you don't need Allah. You've got money, you can go drink alcohol, you can go to the nightclub, you can make zina, you can do anything you want. Whereas the poor, they don't have much to do. And their heart is always broken in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we see this every day. You think wealth is an easy test? Look at how many people fail this test here in front of you every single day. And look at people in refugee camps. They eat one day and they don't eat 2 days, and they're saying, Alhamdulillah. The one who created us will never forget us. And look at people, they have everything. Wallahi alladhi la ilaha illahu. I had a friend. We were very close friends back home. He was middle class, Muslim. Went to the United States. Now he's an atheist. Why? Because now he's got a Range Rover. Okay, he's got a business. Now his business partner, he needs to sit and drink with him. He needs to sit with tables with pork. He needs to make connection. He needs loans with interest. So then, to get rid of that guilty feeling, let's get rid of the whole thing. You know what? There's no God. Life is good. Now, why did I mention this today? Why am I talking about this today in the middle of the things that are happening? Well, the first point is that, look, in everything in life, we need to look at it from an Islamic perspective. Everything that happens to the Muslim has got a meaning. There's a reason for it. And the only way to understand that is through Islam. Salman al-Farisi, radiyallahu anhu, used to say, the kafir? The kafir is like a camel. A camel that the owner will take the camel, tie him to a pole, go and does something, comes back, untie the camel, go and does whatever he was doing. The kafir is like this camel. He doesn't know why he was tied, and he doesn't know why he was untied. But the Muslim is not like that. You look at the kuffar. Why did he get a son? He doesn't know. Why did his son die? He doesn't know. Why did he lose this job? He doesn't know. Why did he get married to this woman? He doesn't know. He doesn't know anything. Life is chaotic. There's no meaning to it. But the Muslim is different. Muslim has got guidance. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave us this guidance so that it explains everything in life to us. Now that's what we need to do in our life every single day. And then teach this and put this into our kids. Now the second point, which is specific to this point, is that, look, you need to see that soft life gives soft people in general, unless they get filled with Islam and the meaning of life according to Islam. Look at your fridge. When you go home now, open your fridge and have a look at it. Banana, bread, juice, milk, everything is there. Now, those children that grow up here, grow up in this society, tell me, when did you last see a poor person here in Sydney? Someone who cannot afford to eat. And don't talk to me about the homeless people. They just want to be homeless. You probably never see them. Now, what do those children grow up thinking? This is how life should be. This is how, that's just standard, normal. Now, what happens, because life can change, what happens to this person if this standard drops a little bit? Why me? Allah hates me. What have I done? Now, it's not necessary for them to live the life to understand that. You see, Mus'ab ibn Umair, he was one of the richest people in Mecca. But then when Islam filled his heart and he understood life according to Islam, he was ready to give everything for it. Everything. Now, filling our children with the Islamic perspective. And it's not just talking. You have to prove it. You have to impress them with Islam. They need to see how Islam explains everything. There's nothing like Islam. And if you don't believe me, just go and see what Islam is. There's nothing like Islam. It's the light. It's the light that makes you see everything clear. Now, when we see, and I go back to the first point, and this is also why I'm talking about this today. It's the duty and the mission of this era. This era when we're weak, our duty and mission is to create better generations, tough, resilient generations. And again, now we see our brothers and sisters getting killed. We can't do much. Now, what does Islam tell me? I'm confused. What should I do? So then the answer is not what he or she said or this analysis or whatever. Go back to Islam. Ibn al-Qayyim says in the book of Allah, he says, Wallahi, there is nothing that will happen to a Muslim that Allah did not mention something in the Quran about it that will guide the Muslim through it. Nothing. So we're confused. We're living here comfortably and our brothers and sisters being killed and tortured. So what should we do? Now let's go back and see, was there anything like this happening in Islam? Look at when Islam first started. Muslims were tortured. Bilal, Sumayyah, and the Prophet ﷺ, Hamza, those strong men, they couldn't do anything to help them. The Prophet ﷺ always said, صَبْرًا آلَ يَاسِرْ فَإِنَّ مَوْعِدَكُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. Be patient, people of Yasir. It's only that Jannah is destined for you. Now that's what you see. He's just making this dua. Abu Bakr is spending his money freeing those slaves. We did send some money to our brothers. But what was actually happening in the background? He was making a new generation. He was working on the generation that will come and turn this oppression over, turn it upside down. It's only a few years later, that Abu Jahl, the one who killed Sumayyah in Badr, he's on the ground. And then Abdullah bin Mas'ud, the little man, they say that Abdullah bin Mas'ud, when he walks in, if men are sitting down, they will cover him. That's how short he was. This Abdullah bin Mas'ud stood on his chest and said, Allah disgraced you, you enemy of Allah. And then he finished him off. Now, how did this happen? It's because the Prophet ﷺ was working. Yes, you make dua and you send money. But what are you doing to help them? Okay, you can't do and you can't go and help them actively. There are many barriers stopping you. But how about fixing your family? How about fixing yourself? How about your children? Those children who cannot stop eating McDonald's and Starbucks and Hungry Jacks, despite knowing that the money that they pay there, they're buying the bullets and the explosions that they're killing the people with Gaza with. All those. McDonald's gives free meals to their Israeli soldiers. Every year they have an allocation. Starbucks gives 14% of its daily revenues to Israel. And they can't stop that. Oh, I used to Starbucks. I can't change it to anything else. If they can't do that, how do we expect them to be the generation that's going to come later and make the victory of Islam? So this is the duty and the mission of each one of you. And then you say, well, I'm just a man. What can I do? Well, guess what? Who is the ummah? The ummah is you and me and him and her. And if each one of us did something, fixed himself and his family, and made sure that his son is a man and his daughter knows her purpose of life. She doesn't just take selfies and puts them on Facebook. She knows why she is alive. Hind bint Utbah, she was a kafir at the time. She brings her son Muawiyah and she dresses him nicely and she says, Adimtuhu illam yasud al-Arab. May Allah kill him and make him dead in front of my eyes if he doesn't become the master of the Arabs. This is when she was kafira. Now, what did she just dress him up to make him the master of the Arab? Go and read who Muawiyah was. The mother of Ahmad ibn Hanbal, he said she used to wake up before me, heats the water for me to make wudu for Fajr. And he was an orphan, he didn't have a father. She said then she will put her niqab and go and take me to the masjid at the darkness of the night. So this is how we should make them. Now, how are they going to be like that in this soft life? How are you going to make a man out of this soft life? This is a life mission. This is a life mission. And the scholars always say, عَجِبْتُ لِجَلَدِ الْفَاجِرِ وَعَجْزِ الثِّقَةِ. You know the kuffar? Look at them. For their kufr, look at what they do. Children finish school. They go take them from school. Take them to dancing classes, violin classes, whatever classes. They give their money and time. And what do we do? What sort of classes we're doing to our children? Am I making sure that my son is physically and mentally prepared to be a man that will carry the message of Islam? And this can be anything. He doesn't need to be something extremely special. He can, as long as he's got the ummah in his heart, he can serve it in any way. He can be an IT and serve the ummah. You look at those hackers. They're attacking Israeli websites and Israeli companies. They're just ITs. And you can think of many examples. Why? He didn't say, "Oh, I'm an IT. What can I do? I can only make websites for Coles and Woolworths and sell pork and Liquorland and whatever." He didn't say that. He's got the ummah in his heart. He's thinking, what can I do for this ummah? Now, as I said, this is a life mission. This is not something that you'll do in 1 or 2 days. This starts when they're born. You start putting this in them. Everything that goes in their life, you say, "Come here, son. Why is this happening? Why do you see that person? Why is this doing that?" Every single thing in life, there is a reason and there is a point to make. You know, when I go to the shopping center, you see those trolleys, people throw them everywhere. I tell my daughter, "Come here, we're going to put it back in the place." Why? Because I'm a Muslim, that I know that every action I do counts. Now, the ones who throw them like that, they're kuffar. They don't think that their actions count. Because when they put the trolley, they throw it anywhere. It's either going to be, first can hurt someone, and there's going to be a sin. Or it's going to hurt a car. Or the least that it will do is that you're helping this poor person who's getting paid pennies for pushing those trolleys. At least put it in a proper place for him, so he doesn't have to go around looking for them. That's just a simple example of how you should make your children and proud that they're Muslims. Make sure they know the difference between the kafir and the Muslim, because they're not the same. And then you'll not be surprised later, okay, when they know that this is kafir, I cannot marry this person. They're not going to come with the kafir and tell you, "I want to marry this person." No, because when they're kids, they know this is kafir and this is Muslim. أقول قولي هذا وأستغفر الله لي ولكم فاستغفروه. بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَئِن شَكَرْتُمْ لَأَزِيدَنَّكُمْ. If you are thankful, Allah will give you more and more. Now, how can we be thankful? Obviously, the first thing is to use those blessings of Allah in the sake of Allah. And Ibn al-Qayyim says, thanking Allah is by the heart being submissive to His orders, and the tongue being thankful and admitting His blessings, and know that it's all from Allah. It's not because you're smart. There are people smarter than you, and they don't have what you have. It's not because of your hard work. There are many people work harder than you, and they don't have what you have. And always look at what the Prophet ﷺ says, Hadithun Sahih. He says, look to the one below you, because this is how you will not belittle the blessing of Allah. So your heart is submissive, and your tongue is thankful and admitting that this is only the blessing of Allah, and with your limbs and senses being followers, for that heart. اللهم انصر الإسلام والمسلمين وأعلي كلمة الحق والدين. اللهم وذل الكفر والكافرين أعداءك وأعداء الدين. اللهم أبرم لأمة أمر رشد يعز فيه أهل الطاعة ويذل فيه أهل المعصية. اللهم فرج عن إخواننا المظلومين المضطهدين في فلسطين وفي سوريا وفي كل مكان. اللهم ثبت الأرض من تحت أقدامهم وزلزل الأرض من تحت أقدام اليهود الكفار الغاصبين. اللهم إن اليهود عادوا فعد. اللهم إن اليهود عادوا فعد. اللهم إن اليهود عادوا فعد. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين وأقم الصلاة.